5 years. I had nothing else except that.
This is in Spanish.
Okay. Yeah, just about here. If you're there, good, just sit there. So, and you know what? Actually, if you just actually learn the philosophy of success, you will, with certainty, with absolute confidence, you will be successful. Okay? All right, so one day I was backstage at one of the events, and I was going to be one of the speakers, and this was just a couple years ago, and I saw Awesome Fossum. Anybody here know Terry? Awesome. All right, so when he comes on the stage, is there like a ball of energy on that stage?
Oh, yes.
Right? And I used to look at him and go, holy smokes, how can he be that way to like move a room with his energy, right? And so just before he was getting on stage, he was doing all this funny thing with his body, you know, and I was looking at him and said, Terry, what are you doing? And he said, I'm putting myself in a peak state. I said, what's that? He says, a peak state is when you are actually so outside of yourself and you're being powerful, you're being like this magnet for success, right? Okay, so he said, let me show you, let me teach you. And he said, Jeffrey, I want you to recall a time, now I'm talking to you, I want you to recall a time in your life when you were extraordinary. When you did something and you accomplished a goal that was really hard to do, that many people thought would be impossible, and maybe you thought was impossible, but you committed to do it. Maybe it was getting into a really hard school, a program. Maybe it was graduating. Maybe it was getting married. Maybe it was buying a house, right? It was overcoming something. Everyone got that? Maybe it was in an athletic event, playing a sport competitively and winning a championship. Everyone got that? Okay, everyone stand up. And I'm going to teach you how to get to the top of the change chart energetically. Right? So you can go from being really upset, really all that, right? So for me, it was, I used to be an amateur competitive tennis player. And God gifted me with very good hand-eye coordination and speed, but not size, right? But I was fast. And so he said, okay, so what was that time? He said, it was when I won this tournament. And so I went from losing all the time in tennis, even though I had the talent, what I didn't have was the mindset of being a winner until I started to learn this stuff. I used to lose all the time, and it wasn't because of lack of talent, it was because of my mindset. And when I switched over to being a winner, you know, because I would actually lose before I even started the match. And some of you are in that habit of losing before you even start the day. Okay? And that's like the normal operating system. And that's not good or bad or right or wrong, it just is, okay? So if you've been wired that way to be pessimistic, to be negative, that's just the way it is. All right? So for me, I became like a 4.5 level champion winning tennis player. And really what it was for me was I loved tennis and I hated losing. Because it wasn't that they beat me, it's I beat myself, right? How many of you psych yourself out and you shrink and you go to the bottom of the change chart? How many of you do that really regularly, right? Put up your hand, come on. Okay? Because I did, and it can still happen, right? So he said, okay, so remember that day. So I won this championship. I won this tournament. And it was all week long. I was playing all these different opponents. And I got into the finals. And I could see during the week this other guy on the other side of the draw, and he was good, man. He was strong, he was good, he was consistent, and he made it into the finals, and I did as well. So what do you think this big voice is saying to me? So we have two voices, right? We have the voice, I call it the big bad voice, is the one that's always talking. Man, that thing wakes up before you wake up, and it says, Ellen, you were such a, what? No, you were such a, does it say, you were fantastic? Does it say that?
No.
Or does it say, man, are you ever a loser, right? Man, are you ever like, what's wrong with you? Or you're too old, or you're too young, or, you failed so many times. Does it say that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that big bad voice is the enemy. It's the critic. It's the limiting voice. And then there's this still small voice, really soft. It's always saying, you can do it, right? You can do it. And that's the voice of inspiration. Many of us call it the still small voice of God. So if you've been in New Skin for a while, and you've been losing, right? That tennis match. Every day you're playing that tennis match and you're losing, and you're still here. Pat yourself on the back. Do this. And you got the one attribute of success. The one that if you have all the talent in the world, but you aren't being this, you won't make it. And what is that? It's persistence. Right? You're being persistent. And that is a habit that if you have nothing else, you can succeed on persistence. Got it?
Yeah.
So for me, I kept losing to these guys. I mean, I was like 27 years old. I'm 55 years old. Man, when I was 27, I was fast, and I had an incredible backhand. But I was losing to these guys in their 60s and 70s that couldn't chew gum and tie their shoelaces, right, at the same time. So it wasn't talent, right? So anyway, I win. So now he says, okay, remember. So this is years later. And I go back to this event. I want you to go back to the event that you won. And I said, okay, so I was seeing this guy on the other side of the draw. Tom Toby was his name. I'll never forget his name. And the night before, I was going into visualization. I was seeing the perfect end result. You know what I was imagining? I was imagining playing in that game, that match, the finals the next day, and that every ball he hit, no matter how hard and how fast it came, it looked like a beach ball. It was in slow motion. and I just saw myself just like completely lining up and just like hitting my forehand flawlessly. My backhand was always like on. My forehand could get erratic at times. And I could just see myself just putting that ball wherever I wanted, with precision, with power and consistency. I saw myself serving with an incredibly high second serve percentage. So I had confidence to go for it on my first serve. I saw myself doing the serve and volley. I saw myself winning the game, right? The match. I saw myself at my peak performance. I didn't sleep that night. I played that movie over and over and over. And when I got into that match, I remember just being like this. When I was returning serve, just like watching, and so Terry was coaching me. So what movements were you doing in your body? So this is what I would do. I would get into my serve position, and for a backhand, I would like set myself up for a backhand, make sure my foot was placed in the right position, and I would fall through, and my forehand, I would fall all the way through. And he said, I want you to do that every time you're nervous. Every time before you get on the stage, I want you to go and put yourself in that peak state. And that's what I was doing right over here just before I got up. Who noticed me doing that? Right? So just like doing this, and you see an athlete, you watch those guys in a tennis match, they bounce that ball 3 times, and they go into this rocking motion, right? You watch a golfer, the way they set up, what is it? This is muscle memory. They're evoking in themselves the memory of peak performance. So that's what I do to get into this peak, to the top of the change chart, energetic, mind over matter, mind over circumstance, mind over distraction, mind over sickness, right? Whatever it is, you can like pop yourself into that state of being. So now I want you guys to remember that, and physically, close your eyes. What were you wearing that day? Okay? And I want you to put yourself back in that moment when you achieved something incredible. And what were you feeling? That excitement, that anxiety, that all those feelings. Okay, where, what were you? What room were you? Where were you? Who was in that room? Or maybe you were in nature. All right, and now what were you doing? What were you doing with your body? I want you to start moving your body like I was doing with my tennis. Okay, so maybe it was a sport. Maybe it was signing a contract. Maybe it was writing an exam. Maybe it was getting married. Okay? So whatever that is, now I want you to start moving your body. All right? Feeling that moment when you're successful. And then I want you to imagine that it was complete. You passed that exam. You got married. You bought that car. You bought that house. You won that tournament. You won that championship. You made it to Ruby. Right? You broke through to executive. You broke through to Ruby, Diamond, Blue Diamond. Everyone got that?
Yeah.
Okay, start moving your body now. I want you to move your body. Go through those same motions that you were, right? Now, when you actually got noticed that you won, did you jump up and down? Did you fist bump? What did you do? I want you to do that right now. Did you scream? Did you? Okay, do it. Let's do it. How do you feel right now?
Awesome.
Okay. So can you do that?
Yes, I can.
Okay. The craziest things, the little details are what make the difference of being a success and not, right? And you can do that. So remember that. Let's do it one more time, because some of you are kind of like half into the deal. Right? I want you to give it 100% as if it already is. As if your life depended on it, because that's the way it is. Your dream depends on you giving 100%. You ready?